Hello and welcome everyone. This is Lavender Sky Panther. Today is Thursday, October 8th, 2020. And today's topic is called Sky Genies. It's a collection of images and sky observations happening September 29th through October 2nd, 2020. And before we get into the sky observations, I'd like to say good day, osio, how, buongiorno, guten tag, kia ora, jambo, buenos dias, bonjour, ni hao, dzień dobry, konnichiwa, dobro dnia, annyeonghaseyo, boa tarde, dobry den, aloha winala, kalimera, and guten dag. And before we look up at some sky observations, some very interesting things today, I'm just showing a little starter image of a purple ground orchid, just to ground us down before we jump up. Let's go. All right, the first image is called Cloud Play, Cloud Genie and Magic Lamp. I hope it's self-explanatory and you can see why I called it this. We have a little genie. It looks like he's looking toward us and down a little bit with the shoulders and the chest kind of going down to vapor here. And this would be the lamp, it's the little lamp projecting out and the little magic, whatever that is, glow or spark. What's interesting here is this little thing down here might be a cloaking craft. As this here, you see like an iron, like an ironing board shape thing or a triangular shape with some cloaking material in front of it. This looks like artificial cloud source for sure, so I'm not sure exactly what's going on in there. But the upper right-hand corner is the original photo if you want to take a look around at your own pace and timing and see a little bit more what could be going on here. Feel free to explore. Okay, this is called Cloud Play, Waving Cloud Genie. So this is 8 minutes prior to the photo you just saw. This is the overall scene. So just traveling around on the highway, I see this, off to the right. It was just very distinct. This little object here too, a seeming object. And then, just the character of the sun is really what drew my attention before I started to see all of this stuff. Anyway, we go to the right. And here we go. This is what I'm calling our little cloud genie, or actually big cloud genie. It's like a mix between a genie and the Hulk, but he's looking off into the distance, toward the west, and it looks like that's his elbow and his fist up. His right hand is going up. That's what I'm seeing. This would be the back, and then going again off into vapor. This looks like a triangular form, and this to me is definitely something cloaking, beyond. So we start to see little structure and little sticks and things. So we're going to take a look at this with some enhancement on the photos, just to see if we can see anything better of what's going on in here. Enhancement simply means I'm editing the attributes such as color, brightness, color saturation, things of that nature. Okay, so here we're looking at Cloud Play, Waving Cloud Genie again, and I'm going to say plus UFO, because it really does look like it, and it very well could be. So on the left, we're just altering the photo in the way that brings out some of these darker things to see if I can see some shadows and distinct black bits, which I do. If you follow my cursor, it looks like something's hiding back in there. Down in here as well, with these darker points, something's going on in this overall assembly. And then in the upper left, I also see dark points popping up out of here. So I think there's a whole host of stuff hiding in here. I don't think it's just one object. And then back here, it's a little hard to see, but it's definitely got definite form, and that's like no other cloud I've seen, and there's like weird little things happening up here. So we're going to do even more enhancement on the photo to the right-hand side. And sure enough, on this little, what I'm calling UFO object, you start to see still little harder things with shadow to it. So to me, that's definitely something cloaking. Whether it's just this little bit here with this like stick-like thing. It looks like a little mini tank, actually, with a gun coming off the top, if this thing's perched on top of this thing. But anyway, there's trail and other things happening in here, or these are waves, some electromagnetic waves, or some other type of wave activity. Hard to say. Upper right, you see a dark bit popping out here as well, so I think something is also cloaking here beyond. Oh, and also I'm going to jump back for a second. There's this weird little stick-like thing, vertical happening out of what would be the shoulder. So just a lot of strangeness happening in that one formation. So here we go. This is called Cloud Play, Waving Cloud Genie and Cloaking Objects this time. So we put more contrast in the overall scene and enhancements. And look up the upper left, something weird's happening here. It looks very interdimensional, as does this. Where we have letter B, there's some strange form that looks like it's zooming in with a little trail behind it. A is our little UFO friend from before. So we're looking at even more enhancement and maybe zoom-ins. So on that little UFO object, it looks like this is like, definitely tufted cloaking material of some type. You see a definite form happening in here. And then, B, that little area here, I couldn't really get too much more of a read on it, but it actually looks like a person laying down with a little arm, on the waist, and just really strange. I'm not sure what's happening there. But what I do see in this one beyond is that this definitely is taking form also of some type of unidentified object, because it has some edges to it and some shadow, and that would be this little speck over here. And what I talk about in other shows is when you see a bright white speck or something nearly white amidst a sea of darkness, and this isn't just a little bit of light, coming through from backlighting. Usually it means that is some type of craft cloaking or some object. It happens again down here too. Alright, this is called Ripple Effects, Holes, in quotes, and Object and Cloud, in quotes. So the upper left-hand photo is the original photo. Grabbed my attention because this is pitched upward. It's a very weird consistency of cloud. And then the shape below it, too, looks like the emerging, overall form of an ellipse or some type of triangular form, which doesn't look too natural to the overall cloud assembly either, or in its own right. So we're going to look at A, B, and C along the top rim there. And it gets very interesting, so we put some enhancement on it. A1, looks like a pool, like somebody dropped water, and we got ripple effect, with concentric rings happening around here, with a center point that goes down like a whirlpool. That's what it looks like. Then its neighbor at B1 also has a hole, a little bit of a round form. Looks like some activity might be going on there too in terms of electromagnetic waves or whatever's causing this ripple, but less exaggerated. And this looks like pitched up on an angle. I don't know what's going on in here, but this looks like an object sitting on the rim with its own shadow. So we go to, let's go up to A2 in the upper right hand corner. Here we get a look at those ring, the depression, going down, and then the rings happening along the top of that disc. And then B2, here's that one pitched up on an angle. And then we're going to look in at C2. So that's that little thing on the rim. Definitely we see shadow, pronounced shadow. So that is definitely some type of object protruding out. See what you think is happening in this overall scene. Alright, this is called Strange Cloud Forms at Sunset. And the upper right is the original. What caught my attention was this really strange shape. And so we're going to zoom in on it. Definitely still strange, where my cursor is in the upper middle. And then A3 is just trying to get at a little more what could be going on. Still kind of hard to say. The lower photo, the overall expanded view in contrast, is very telling. Looks like there's a triangular object happening beyond, or multiple triangular objects. And then this, where A1 is, where this little hook feature is, or like little wrench, we see a couple bright points, so that's very telling something's happening there. At A3 it looks like a bigger window of something, or that's an object, hard to say. And then A1, this is a flat piece, looks very symmetrical, so this looks like some type of weird object happening here. And look at this, it's got like a tail, almost like a whale tail. It looks like it's happening up over here as well, where my cursor is with some object. So are these craft and simulated to look like maybe something organic even? To me it's got to be some type of craft, or who knows if it's some interdimensional organism. Hard to say, but see what you think. Okay, this is called Strange Cloud Forms at Sunset. The lower left is the original, and we're going to move in with some enhancements. So already we see the warmer golden glow happening down here, bright white happening above, with the quote-unquote sun happening over here. Again, when we see two very distinct different light sources, especially one is bright white, glaring white, and the other is golden, it all does support the theory that there is an artificial solar tech up in the sky. It can be called a solar simulator. People call it artificial sun. I've covered in other shows that there's tech up there that is either it's a lensing system or some type of veiling system between the Earth and the sun, which is definitely distorting and affecting the how we see the true sun, the original sun, or it's a source in its own right, independent of the sun. Hard to say. But do look at other Earth and sky watching channels. Other YouTubers have a lot of great evidence, direct observation evidence from around the world, to show that something is messing up with our sun or interfering with manipulating our original sun or our ability to see it clearly. It's also distorting the light, focusing it, and creating different heat than what our original warmer golden glow sun would do. Anyhow, back to what we might see feature-wise in this overall cloud assembly. And here there's A1, something very strange going on here. Independently on your own time, you might want to look up to what's happening here, if that's interdimensional or what's going on. Definitely this rougher cloud activity shows something's coming or going. It looks like something is up in here. Okay, so now let's jump up to A2. We've got that hole, you know, it actually looks now like an object because it looks like an overall triangular form to me. Might also be a hole, hard to say. But here this object laying at the base of it. So this looks like more than just tufted cloaking cloud material. It has structure to it. Looks like a sideways V with some different things happening in between with shadow. Here we get a better look at this triangular form, which looks like it just has a ring of cloaking material around it at the top. Something strange happening here too. So A4, we're going to take a closer look at this thing. Again, you know, obviously something's at play. We look at 8.5, just in color, black and white, you know, gray color scale. I'm sorry, grayscale without the color, just to train the brain and eye in a different way to see if we can pull out anything else optically. And you see these two black points, you know, within what would be like a tail. This looks like some deep sea prehistoric fish to me with the mouth open, and that would be the tail. Anyway, I'm not sure what that is. Is it craft, you know, simulating a more natural organism? Is it, I don't know, what else it could be? Equipment, you know, attached to a bigger craft, Cloaking Beyond. Not sure. See what you think. This is called Cloaking Craft at Sunset. So the original's on the lower left. We're just going to zoom in or target A, B, and C to look at. There's clearly more going on in the overall photo, though, so have a look on your own time when you can and see what you see is going on in there. A1 definitely looks like a clear object with some even like different light signature happening around it. Same thing with B1, even looks like it has a little force field in front of it pushing forward with a smoky vapor trail behind it. Now we get to C1, is really interesting. This looks like the top lid of an oyster or a clamshell, and it's probably spherical below is what it looks like. So we're going to look at, let's go over to B2, and you see definitely, you know, it looks like tufted cloaking material and a trail behind. Looks like it's moving this way. Then there's something happening here too, but you'll have to take a look at that on your own. That's that piece down here. A2, okay, definitely an object with pronounced shadows. Looks like it has depth to it, and definitely planned structure to it. It even looks like, if I want to use a little tongue-in-cheek language here, it looks like it could be a hood ornament too on a bigger craft, and this is the point. This is symmetrical. It has shadow. Looks like there's could be craft happening beyond as well. C2, we're going to look at this clamshell thing, oyster shell, more like a clamshell, I guess. Look at this. It has definite distinct form and edgework here, and things tufting and cloaking perhaps beyond here too that are a little bit bigger. So see what you think is happening in here. There's a lot going on in this photo. We're going to look at the clamshell a little bit more. Look at this. CC is the original photo. You really see it, you know, on an angle that's like, you know, the lid of it. And then we go to CC1. You know, see it with a little more contrast. And now we see a couple of objects more clearly popping out of here. So it looks like something's emerging out of that shell. And this too, when we go to CC2, look at that. This is definitely a hovering element, creating shadow on whatever medium is happening below it. And that looks more like an object as well, more pronounced. So we go over to point 3, and we're looking at this object, and sure enough, I mean, that's got edges to it. It looks symmetrical. This looks like the front of it to me. See what you think is going on, but to me that is like a V-shaped craft. Okay, this is called Strange Cloud Cluster and Movement. So just the overall, I think it's self-explanatory. It's like weird ring-like movement happening, different lighting coming in here than what's happening down here. So we're going to put contrast on it to see what's going on, and here we go. Bright white light coming in, and yet somehow it gets a warm signature, and again we have a divide between brighter white light and whatever's happening beyond. This is called Cloaking Craft Activity at Sunset, A plus D. So we've got points, little target areas, A through D to zoom in on. So this one's going to cover A and D, this side of it. So we go to 8.1. That looks like, again, the top lid of something. I don't know if that's the same clamshell we had before. I don't think so. But this is smoother edges. It looks like almost like it opened up, and this is the bottom, and then there's some block-like thing happening in here. Or this is two independent things. I'm not sure. Then we look at D. Okay, D at first in the lower left just looks like, oh, there's some light cracking in, backlighting through this cloud assembly. But no. We look at D.1, it looks more like an object in and of itself with symmetry. Again, like a split V back. It looked like that could be a cockpit, and that's the point of it. So we're going to look at it with a slightly different grayscale here instead of color. And again, you see that object, it has some shadow to it. This looks like a little bit of trail maybe coming off of it, or that's still the arm of the structure of it. Looks like it bends down. See what you think is going on in there. Oh, let me go back 1 second. So the thing that caught my attention on this overall cloud assembly, cloud in quotes, because it definitely looks like multiple cloaking craft happening all over the place here, was this really hard edge, this right angle, unmistakable. That something's going on there. That's not natural cloud assembly. So we're going to look at that. That's B. So B.1, this looks like, look at it, looks like the top side of an oil drum laying on its side that we're only catching part of. Could be a gun, like cannon-like thing. Who knows? B2, we get a little bit better view of it. Looks like another similar thing is popping out over here. Then we're going to look at C, and it looks like, again, something kind of clinging to the edge of this thing that has like a wing-like shape and a point on it. Has shadow, so it's got to be something. A.3 is that like saucer lid thing. And then C2, we'll just look in, and again, with their slightly different color. To me, it's definitely an object there. E, we're going to take a look because a lot of strange activities happening down here. And here we'll focus on E. So B is just to orient you to that like pipe-like structure at the top. So E.1, it looked like at first like, oh, there's like two little crafts happening off and a weird, kind of phosphorescent, like luminescent ring happening of some type. But then when I went in with more contrast, it still looks like that might be happening like independent craft. But then when we look at the contrast enhancement in a different way, it looks like this overall thing is an object, not a void of sky, but actually something with structure to it. This little hole and this little shape, all look like more like this in itself as an object. This might even be part of this thing beyond, like a pipe sticking out, or it might be independent, not sure. I think it's part of the same structure though. And then we go down to E.4, and again, this is looking more and more by the minute like this is structure. So if you go back to the original photo over by E1, this whole thing is like a craft that it extends this way, and then what you see below it would be sky. Okay, this is called Strange Cloud and Emerging Object. Upper left is the original. I'm going to go over this one real fast because basically I'm just pointing out at A and B two distinct weird things. So the upper A is a pointed ellipse, the outside outline of it, with weird stuff happening within it. So I think that's a cloaking craft for sure. Got the tufted cloaking material happening around the edges. And then B also, I'm not sure exactly what's going on here, but I suspect some type of cloaking craft. We got a weird groove happening, right through this thing. So I'm not sure what else it could be. I suspect there's stuff cloaking in here too, and where my cursor is. There's a lot happening in this photo. Have fun looking at it more in your own time, see what you can see in there. Okay, cloaking objects at sunset, A, B, and C. We're just going to look at these three key areas, even though there's clearly something happening over here with probably like a rim, like saucer shape looking here. But let's look at this with more enhancement. And here we go. A.1 looks definitely like some type of sphere that just floated down in here, moving in a downward direction toward the center of the photo. This looks like its own little vapor trail or cloaking material trail, whether that's plasma, water vapor, whatever that is. And then B, it looks like, look at this, look at the outline, it looks like a gear, a gear on its side. And then C.1, we got harder structure in here. It actually even looks maybe like it's a depression with a ring happening around it. I think this overall thing is the cloaking craft, and part of it disappearing beyond. This may be part of it, bigger object. And this might be an object within cloak as well. As this too. So see what you think is going on in here. And as always, if you have any interesting angles or perspectives on what we're seeing, even just for fun, leave it in the comments section below. There's going to be a lot happening in these photos that I don't even get time to cover. There's so many parts and pieces and things floating around literally in these things that if you want any more insight on it, just, again, holler, let me know in the comment section and say, hey, for example, what are these two little bits happening over here? And then I can maybe zoom in and do different enhancements to see what's going on there. Okay? Alright, so here we go. Strange cloud forms, cloud in quotes, speaks for itself. Upper left-hand corner is the original. And you definitely see some type of shape here with some structure or something happening in these two parts, or it's one big thing. And it looks like it's connected here to this triangular shape. So I definitely think it's either one overall craft cloaking or several different craft cloaking. Look at this, it's echoing beyond this shape with these holes in it, or light sources popping through. I'm not sure quite what's going on, but I do know it's strange. Okay, this one is strange cloud forms plus object. So this thing was beautiful. Upper right-hand corner is the original, like this big, very elegant mass of cloud and quotes swooping down. And so we put some contrast on it. We see, again, a pointed ellipse back in there. So I think that's the harder craft back in there. We also see like the tracing in the void of like an A and just some weird stuff happening in here. See what you think is going on. Now off to the right of what we just looked at is this huge trail sweeping up further, even up toward the sky. And what was really odd about this one in the upper left photo is the original, is again this otherworldly light, I call it. It looks like almost like pure white LED, but a little bit more than that. It's its own little like phosphorescent effect. And we come in here and zoom in with some contrast, and you really see it pronounced. And there's looks like cloaking material happening in here. And we're going to look to the right at an extension of this to see if we can see what's going on. But here in the shadow, on a slant, if you're a Star Wars fan, this looks like a TIE fighter to me with the ball in the middle and the two sides. Down here looks like a Craft 2, zooming in this way toward the right with a point to it and symmetry, and maybe some companion craft or entities, whatever. Alright, panning further to the right of what we were just looking at is the extension of that tail. You see the bit of that, light effect that I was talking about happening here. And here, this looks like a very flat, cloaking craft to me in here with the cloaking material. And this too, look at this thing. Looks like a weird object floating in. This looks like a triangular form. And again, I say this is an object because look, we got that bright white light signature too around this thing. See what you think is happening in this scene. Oh, down here too looks like a little craft with like a little trail behind it. This is called multiple light sources and objects at sunset, and it's kind of self-explanatory, but the lower right in area A, we've got a warm glow off more toward the true west, which looks like more effects of our original sun. But then it pops up over here too, so that looks like a different light source. And then we just have like a glaring white light source happening above. So what could be causing that? We're going to take a little more closer look at that in a minute. And then look at this shape. It's weird with a little stick form. There's just a lot of weird things happening in this photo. This looks like some object is coming down, descending on an angle with some definite symmetry happening in here. There's something happening in here too, and here beyond. But we're going to take a look with contrast enhancement, see what's going on. Here we go. So this looks like an overall upper left, like an overall triangular form, cloaking. And here's our little object, and definitely looking like symmetry and intelligent design happening here. And A1, again, we're just seeing this much warmer glow popping back up over here in a very strange way. And then we've got the bright white still happening up here. Then we have, what is this? I still don't know what that is. And then at E.1, this looks like an overall, looks like actually like a powerboat. This would be the bow to the right, heading off, with a depression in here. So there's just so much happening in this photo. Take a look on your own time, and you're going to see a lot more than what I pointed out. Alright, but we will zoom in on that one little feature. So again, we see some dimension to it on B2. E2, just take another look at this thing. Something's definitely happening in here. And D2, I'm trying to see what I was pulling out there. We have an overall form actually emerging here too. There's just a lot to really, the more you look, the more you see type of thing with this. We go to, I'm sorry, this should be B3, not D3. My apologies on that. But here we go. Definite more shadow. Looks like definite trail, with cloaking material or plasma, water vapor or mix. I don't know what that is made of, but we'll just call it trail material for now. And then, again, sorry, this should be B4. We see shadow, and I'm still calling that intelligent design, and that these things are, in fact, cloaking craft is what I'm going with. Alright, this is Cloaking Craft again. Overall scene, so we've got a little stick-like piece. You'll see some familiar friends from the previous photo, but we're also going to look at some other things. So look at A. This has like a barbell dumbbell shape. Something's happening in here, and then that shape is very distinct, and we've got a sphere-like object. And this looks like a bas relief, so is something coming or going out of phasing? I don't know. We'll look at this with more enhancement to see if we get any more clues. And obviously, this is the elephant in the room here, is this elliptical shape forming in here as a void. So A1, we're going to take a closer look at this pipe-like object down here. We'll look at 2, this shape. We're going to see what's going on. See if we get any more clues with more enhancement. So A.2, there's that little dumbbell. A.3, Definitely looks like some type of object or entity. C2, that's just kind of staying true to its form no matter what we do to the photo. B, I was trying to zoom in, B3 on that pipe, the end of a pipe. You can kind of see it. D2, the sphere, looks like something else is happening here around the edge, so I'm saying this is an overall craft. Something's going on there. And E2 is our little bas relief. I couldn't pull too much more out of it. You can see some shadow here, and also this weird little thing happening on top, I think, of a cloaking craft. Couldn't get to too much more of what that is, but I thought I would at least try with 8.3. Alright, this is called Odd Cloud Forms and Red-Pink Light Source. A.0, where that is the original photo. The one to the left has some enhancements. Really pulls some things out. It's enhancements and also happening like a minute earlier. So let's take a look at what could be going on in here. So where we had that A feature, what looked like it could have been like a hole is actually a machine part. I'm calling it machine parts. It's what it looks like undeniably to me. This looks like, like a pipe, penetrating outward. Also up here at C.1. And at B1, it looks like we're looking at the end of a pipe coming toward us. So with a little more enhancement, you can see it too. I mean, that's clearly a machine part designed intelligently. This too. So are they water cannons, laser cannons? Are they some type of, I don't know, sensor equipment, camera, detection? Is it simply shoots out cloud material or cloak material? Or is it weaponry? I don't know. But anyway, it's definitely machine parts. This also where B2 is looks like it could be a separate craft in a pointed ellipse, or it's like the side pontoon of a bigger craft, hard to say. The thing happening in the back looks like more of like a World War II craft in nature. I captured a couple, and I could even clearly sketch overlay them in previous shows I have called Off-Filled Sunset and Red Sky Plus. I recommend you have a look over there, starting with Off-Filled Sunset, where I have what looks like a World War II battlecraft in its entirety, including the turret and the gunner and the bow and all of that, and the back end. And I even sketch overlay with precision. There were right angles and machine parts happening all over the place. So have a look there too. This is reminding me of that. It could even be the same thing for all I know. Anyway, we go to B4, again looking at that B element head on. Don't see too much more, but I thought it would be worth a try to get more detail out of it. And then we go to the lower right-hand corner. A3, look at it's clearly a symmetrical form like a machine part popping out. B3, not too much more pulled out of there. But C3, we see, some symmetry and like that pipe form running all the way through. See what you think is going on there. Alright, this is called Odd Cloud Forms, cloud in quotes. Lower left is the original photo. It caught my attention because we have this brighter white track coming through, and then this overall shape looks like it's diving down from the left-hand side of the photo toward the west. So we run enhancements, and here we go. It does look like something. This disturbed cloud activity to the point where my camera doesn't focus well on it is always a sign to me of cloaking. Excuse me. Okay, I'm back. Always a sign to me of something cloaking or coming or going interdimensionally or phasing into the sky as we know it. And then up here, look at this. This is starting to look interdimensional-like to me. If you look at it, you can maybe see a face. If you look at the dark part is the main part of the face, and these is the eyes and whatnot. But also, if you look at it, this is the white part is a ring making a pentagon, forming around a pentagon. That's what it looks like to me. You're even like two holes symmetrical there. So, and the break in it, this definitely looks like some type of intelligent design. It might be even part of a bigger dimensional object if that's shadow. Anyway, we look to the right with even more enhancement on our little main object here, and look at these look like triangular points of a tail. This is definitely a harder object coming down, or it might be multiple objects. See what you think is happening in there. Alright, this is called Red Flash or Self-Illuminating Craft, question mark. Left is the original. Now, I'm not going to talk about the light quality in here. We're going to get to that later because it's doing a lot of things that defy light physics. But I'm looking at A because what I thought at first was a red flash, and I've covered this in another show. On closer inspection, it actually looks like a solid craft with its own illumination turning red. And that's what I'm finding on this one. It doesn't happen always, but in certain cases. So 8.1, look at this. We've got a bright white glow of little things hiding in there. These little double, dots. It looks like something's hiding. But look at the more we zoom in on this, it looks like this has overall structure, dimension, and shadow. There's even a real white bit poking up here, that it looks like this is generating its own light to be that bright red, because we're not getting bright red anywhere else all around this photo. So, what's causing that? That's the question of the week, the day, the millennia. But here we go, A.2 in the upper part of the photo, of the overall slide. Look at that bright white point. It looks like it has like a pipe shape to it. And then the more we look at this, it looks definitely like it is craft, something with solidity to it, and maybe below two, something layered, two different objects, or one, features of the same thing. Hard to say. See what you think is going on in this one. Okay, now this is called How Are These Light Effects Possible at Sunset? And that's what you see is what you get. So look at the left is the original, the right is with enhancement. How the heck do we have a bright orange, golden glow happening down at the bottom? Sorry, more golden and yellow. And then we skip, some territory, and then it picks back up really bright and intense. And then we have bright white in the very dead center. And then boom, we go back up to the top for some more peach and redness, going up even further. I mean, this just makes no sense. We got blue to the right. We got this weird thing popping up with different color ranges to it, warm color ranges. So what do you think is happening in here? It's really mind-boggling. Now, this whole thing I'm saying is Cloaking Craft here too. That's not a real cloud form that we know. It's on angle. This is straight. I mean, I don't even know where to begin with that, but I have already on other shows. But here we got bright white points, so to me there's something cloaking in here. This looks also like a machine or metallic part popping out. See what you think's going on there. And again, if you have any fun or wild ideas, whatever, go ahead and throw them in the comment section below. Alright, this is called What Is This? Northwest at Sunset. So this just looks like a big skyburst, I'll call it. Upper right is the original photo. So even to the naked eye, it had this pattern of like the face of a sunflower and the petals. You could detect this pink reddish glow and a more warmer yellowish glow tint to it to the naked eye. So with the contrast, you really see stuff. This looks like an elongated, pentagonal form? Yeah. Almost like a crystal form, and these look like triangles, or one bigger triangle more like. See what you think is going on in here. To me, this is clearly something interdimensional. This even looks like it could be like a tube-like form. That's the opening. Just so much is happening. This could be multiple craft cloaking or one bigger assembly flying in. I'm not sure. See what you think is going on there, though. This is looking in the direction of northwest, when the apparent sunset was happening more toward the west this time. Alright, well, this is the photo of the week. It is white ibis in flight heading northeast from overhead. So thank you for heading over here a while. I wish you a beautiful now, whether it's daytime or evening, wherever you are. I just wish you all the best and tremendous peace. So thanks for spending time here for a while, and all the best to you. Lavender Sky Panther. Bye.